Wealth is not something you chase, it's something you attract. And the difference between these two approaches determines everything about your financial future. When you chase wealth, you operate from scarcity, from desperation, from the belief that what you want is always just beyond your reach. You grasp at opportunities that aren't truly aligned. You make decisions from fear rather than wisdom. You exhaust yourself pursuing outcomes that remain elusive because your very pursuit pushes them away. But when you attract wealth, when you become the kind of person wealth naturally flows toward, everything shifts. You move through the world with clarity and confidence. You recognize opportunities others overlook. You make decisions that compound over time. And wealth, rather than being something you struggle to capture, becomes something that finds its way to you because you've created the conditions for its arrival. This isn't mysticism. This isn't wishful thinking or passive hoping. This is understanding how the world actually operates when it comes to money and prosperity. Wealth responds to certain patterns, certain beliefs, certain consistent actions. And when you align yourself with these patterns, when you cultivate the mindset and habits that naturally draw financial opportunity, you stop fighting against the current and start moving with it. You discover that creating wealth isn't about working harder than everyone else or sacrificing everything you value. It's about thinking differently, believing differently, and acting with a kind of discipline, consistency that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Right now, wherever you are financially, you have access to principles that can change your trajectory. These principles have worked for people who started with nothing. They've worked across industries, across generations, across circumstances. They work because they're based on how minds create reality, how beliefs shape perception, how focused attention directs energy towards specific outcomes. And they're available to you starting today if you're willing to understand them and apply them with patience and persistence. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need perfect conditions. You simply need to begin with awareness, with clarity about where you're going, and with commitment to becoming someone who naturally attracts the wealth you seek. The journey toward financial abundance begins not with action, but with thought. This surprises people who've been taught that success comes purely through hard work and hustle. Of course, action matters. Of course, discipline and effort are essential. But action without proper mental alignment is like rowing a boat while the anchor is still down. You expend tremendous energy while making little progress. The starting point, the foundation upon which everything else rests, is your relationship with wealth itself. What do you actually believe about money? What do you believe about your capacity to earn it, to keep it, to grow it? What do you believe about wealthy people, about financial success, about whether abundance is even possible for someone like you? These beliefs, whether conscious or buried deep in your subconscious, determine what opportunities you notice, what risks you take, what actions feel natural, and ultimately what results you create. Most people carry beliefs about wealth that actively repel it. They believe money is scarce, that gaining it requires taking from others, that wealthy people are somehow less ethical, or that desiring financial success is shallow or greedy. These beliefs weren't necessarily chosen consciously. They were absorbed from family, from culture, from early experiences that created associations between money and stress or conflict or disappointment. And these beliefs, operating beneath conscious awareness, create a kind of resistance, even when opportunities appear, even when paths toward greater income present themselves. Something inside hesitates, doubts, pulls back. The subconscious mind, programmed to avoid what it associates with danger or wrongness, subtly sabotages forward movement. This is why people often find themselves stuck at certain income levels despite genuine desire for more. The conscious mind wants wealth. The subconscious mind fears it or rejects it or doesn't believe it's truly available. Breaking through to new levels of financial success requires addressing these deeper beliefs. It requires examining what you truly think about wealth and deliberately choosing beliefs that serve your growth rather than limit it. This isn't about lying to yourself or pretending difficulties don't exist. It's about recognizing that beliefs are choices and that you can choose beliefs that open doors rather than close them. You can choose to believe that wealth is abundant rather than scarce. You can choose to believe that creating value for others and receiving money in return is honorable rather than exploitative. You can choose to believe that you are capable of learning what you need to know, of developing the skills required, of becoming someone who naturally attracts financial opportunity. These aren't empty affirmations. These are foundational shifts in perspective that change how you show up in the world and what becomes possible as a result. When you truly believe that wealth can flow to you, that you are worthy of it, that creating it is a matter of alignment and consistent action rather than luck or privilege, you begin to operate differently. You notice opportunities you would have previously overlooked. You take actions you would have previously avoided. You persist through difficulties that would have previously stopped you. Your belief doesn't magically create money out of thin air, but it does create the internal conditions that allow you to recognize, pursue, and capitalize on the genuine opportunities that already exist all around you. This is the true power of belief. It shapes perception, influences decision-making, and determines what you're willing to attempt and how long you're willing to persist. Consider the story of a woman named Sarah who spent years working in administrative roles, earning modest income, constantly worried about making ends meet. Sarah was intelligent, capable, hardworking, but she'd grown up in a household where money was always tight, where financial stress was a constant undercurrent, where her parents spoke of wealthy people with a mixture of envy and disdain. Without realizing it, Sarah had absorbed the belief that wealth wasn't for people like her. It was for others, people who were luckier, better connected, more ruthless. She didn't consciously choose this belief, but it lived in her nonetheless, shaping every financial decision she made. Then came a period of particular difficulty. Unexpected expenses, mounting debt, the feeling that she was slipping backward despite working as hard as she could. One evening, exhausted and discouraged, Sarah found herself asking a different question. Not why is this happening to me, but what would someone who believes they can create wealth do right now? The question shifted something. Instead of seeing herself as a victim of circumstances, she began to see herself as someone who simply hadn't yet learned how to create the financial life she wanted. And if it could be learned, then she could learn it. Sarah started by examining her actual beliefs about money. She wrote them down honestly. Money is hard to get. Rich people are selfish. I'm not smart enough to earn more. Wanting wealth is materialistic. Seeing these beliefs in writing shocked her. She realized she'd been operating from a mindset that made financial success nearly impossible. So she began, deliberately and consciously, to choose different beliefs. Not because they felt true yet, but because she recognized that her current beliefs weren't serving her and that beliefs could be changed through repetition and evidence. She started affirming, quietly but consistently, that wealth was abundant and available to her, that creating value for others and receiving financial compensation was natural and good, that she was capable of learning whatever she needed to know, that financial success was possible for her just as it was for anyone else. At first, these statements felt hollow, almost absurd, but she persisted every morning before starting her day, every evening before sleep, not with desperation or strain, but with calm repetition, as if she were teaching herself a new language. And gradually something shifted. Sarah began noticing opportunities she'd previously ignored. A colleague mentioned needing help with a project, and Sarah, instead of assuming she wasn't qualified, asked questions and discovered she could contribute in exchange for additional income. She noticed online platforms where her organizational skills could be offered as services. She started reading about personal finance, about investing, about business creation, topics she'd previously avoided because they felt foreign and intimidating. None of these actions alone were dramatic, but together, driven by her shifting beliefs about what was possible, they began to accumulate. Within 2 years, Sarah had doubled her income. Within 4, she'd started a small consulting business that earned more than her previous full-time job. Within 6, she'd built genuine financial stability and was helping others do the same. But when people asked her secret, she always came back to the same point. The external actions only became possible after the internal shift. She had to first believe that wealth could come to her, that she was capable of creating it, that it wasn't reserved for some special category of people she could never join. Once that belief took root, everything else followed naturally. The opportunities had always been there. She simply hadn't been able to see them until she believed they were meant for her. Sarah's story illustrates a crucial principle. Attracting wealth begins with permission. You have to give yourself permission to want it, to pursue it, to believe you can have it. So many people subconsciously block their own financial growth because they haven't fully given themselves permission to succeed. They carry guilt about wanting more than they have. They worry about what others will think. They fear that pursuing wealth will change them in negative ways or distance them from people they care about. These fears and hesitations create internal resistance that manifests as procrastination, self-sabotage, or simply a kind of passivity where opportunities are seen but not pursued. Giving yourself full permission to create wealth doesn't mean becoming greedy or abandoning your values. It means recognizing that financial abundance allows you to live more fully, to contribute more meaningfully, to support the people and causes you care about, and to experience life without the constant anxiety that comes from financial insecurity. Let me share another story, quite different, but equally instructive. There was a man named David who worked in sales for a technology company. David was good at his job, consistently meeting his targets, earning decent commissions. But he'd reached a plateau. Year after year, his income remained roughly the same. He told himself he was satisfied, that more money wouldn't really change his life, that he should be grateful for what he had. But beneath this rationalization was a deeper truth. David didn't actually believe he could earn significantly more. He'd reached what he subconsciously considered his financial ceiling, and his mind had created explanations to justify remaining there rather than pushing beyond it. One day, David met a colleague from another division who earned 3 times what he did. This colleague wasn't more talented or hardworking. He simply operated in a higher tier of sales, dealing with larger clients, more complex solutions, bigger transactions. David felt a mixture of admiration and envy. But instead of dismissing the gap as luck or unfair advantage, he asked himself a transformative question. What does he believe about himself and about money that I don't? This question led David into months of reflection and intentional mental reprogramming. David realized he'd been operating from a belief that large sums of money were for other people. He could imagine earning a comfortable living, but earning truly significant income felt presumptuous, unlikely, almost wrong. He began to work on this belief systematically. He spent time each day visualizing himself serving high-level clients, handling large transactions, earning substantial commissions. Not from greed or desperation, but from a calm expectation that this level of success was natural and appropriate for him. He studied the mindsets and strategies of top performers in his field. He noticed that they didn't see themselves as lucky. They saw themselves as valuable, as worthy of premium compensation, as naturally belonging in high-level conversations. David started positioning himself differently. He sought out opportunities to interact with larger clients. He invested in developing expertise that would make him more valuable. He raised his standards for what kind of work he would accept and what he expected to be paid. These weren't reckless changes. They were aligned with his growing belief that he belonged at a higher level. And as his belief strengthened, as he consistently held the image of himself as a high-level contributor worthy of premium compensation, the external reality began to shift. Opportunities appeared that matched his new self-concept. Larger clients took him seriously because he took himself seriously. His income began to rise, not through luck or sudden breakthrough, but through steady alignment between his internal beliefs and his external actions. Within 3 years, David had quintupled his income. He'd moved into enterprise-level sales, served major clients, and built a reputation as someone who delivered exceptional value. But the money, while significant, wasn't the deepest change. The deepest change was in his identity. He'd become someone who expected success, who saw himself as worthy of substantial compensation, who naturally operated at a level that once seemed impossibly distant. And this identity shift, built through patient mental work and aligned action, was permanent. Even when challenges arose, even when deals fell through, he maintained the unshaken belief that he was someone who created significant financial value and was compensated accordingly. Both Sarah and David discovered the same fundamental truth. Wealth is attracted through alignment. Alignment between belief and action. Alignment between your self-concept and your financial goals. Alignment between your daily habits and your long-term intentions. When this alignment exists, when every part of you is moving in the same direction, wealth finds its way to you through channels you couldn't have predicted or forced. But when misalignment exists, when part of you wants wealth while another part doubts it or fears it, or doesn't believe you deserve it, progress becomes difficult regardless of how hard you work. This is why some people labor intensely and remain stuck while others seem to create financial success with relative ease. The difference isn't intelligence or work ethic. It's alignment. Creating this alignment requires clarity. You must know specifically and concretely what financial outcome you're pursuing. Not vague wishes like I want to be rich or I want more money. Precise targets, a specific income level, a particular amount of savings, a defined level of financial freedom. Your mind needs clear direction. When you give it clear direction, when you define exactly what you're attracting, your subconscious can begin working toward that target. It starts filtering information differently. It notices opportunities aligned with your goal. It generates ideas and insights. It guides your intuition toward actions that move you closer. But without clarity, without a specific target, your mental energy dissipates. You pursue scattered opportunities that don't build toward anything coherent. You make progress in one area while sliding backward in another. Clarity creates focus, and focus creates momentum. Once you have clarity, once you know precisely what you're attracting, the next requirement is faith. Not religious faith, though if you have that, it can certainly support you. But faith in the sense of unshakable belief that your financial goal is achievable and that you are capable of achieving it. This faith must be cultivated and maintained, especially in the beginning when external evidence might suggest otherwise. You're probably not yet at your financial goal. Your current circumstances might even seem to contradict the possibility of getting there. This is normal. Everyone starts from where they are, and where they are is always less than where they want to be. Faith is the bridge between your current reality and your intended reality. It allows you to persist through the gap, to keep moving forward even when progress isn't immediately visible, to maintain your mental alignment even when external circumstances haven't yet caught up. Faith isn't blind. It's not pretending difficulties don't exist or denying legitimate challenges. It's choosing to believe in your capacity to learn, to grow, to adapt, to persist until you break through. It's recognizing that every successful person you admire started somewhere less than where they are now, and that what enabled their journey wasn't absence of obstacles, but presence of faith that the obstacles could be overcome. You cultivate faith through repetition of your vision, through daily mental rehearsal of your financial goal as already achieved, through surrounding yourself with evidence that what you seek is possible. You read stories of people who've done what you want to do. You study their paths. You notice that they're human, flawed, not fundamentally different from you. And this evidence gradually builds your faith that if they could do it, you can too. Faith must be paired with focused attention. Your attention is one of your most valuable resources. Where you place it determines what grows in your life. If you constantly focus on lack, on what you don't have, on how far behind you are, you reinforce neural pathways associated with scarcity and inadequacy. Your subconscious receives the message that scarcity is your reality, and it continues creating circumstances that match this expectation. But when you deliberately direct your attention toward opportunity, toward growth, toward evidence of progress, however small, you train your mind to see possibilities rather than limitations. You begin noticing resources you hadn't seen before. You recognize connections between ideas that could create value. You feel inspired to take actions that move you forward. This isn't positive thinking disconnected from reality. This is strategic direction of mental resources toward what serves your growth rather than what reinforces your limitations. Action, of course, is non-negotiable. Belief and clarity and focused attention create the internal conditions for attracting wealth. But those internal conditions must express through consistent, disciplined action. You must do the work. You must develop skills. You must create value. You must serve others in ways they're willing to pay for. You must persist through difficulties and setbacks. Attraction isn't passive. It's not sitting around hoping money will appear. It's aligning your internal state so completely with your financial goals that the right actions become obvious and natural, and then executing those actions with unwavering consistency. The person who truly believes they can create wealth doesn't sit idle. They move, they learn, they experiment, they build, and they do so with a quality of energy that's different from desperate scrambling. They act from confidence rather than fear, from clarity rather than confusion, from persistence rather than sporadic bursts of effort. Disciplined action means showing up consistently even when motivation fades. It means doing what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. It means choosing long-term benefit over short-term comfort repeatedly until the long-term benefit becomes your new baseline. Most people fail to create significant wealth not because they don't know what to do, but because they don't consistently do what they know. They start strong, lose momentum, get distracted, give up when results don't come quickly. But wealth creation is a compounding process. Small, consistent actions accumulate into significant results over time. The person who takes one focused action toward their financial goal every single day will inevitably surpass the person who takes massive action occasionally but inconsistently. Discipline is what carries you through the gap between starting and succeeding. It's what keeps you moving when excitement fades and the work becomes routine. And it's what ultimately determines whether your financial goals remain dreams or become reality. Another crucial element of attracting wealth is surrounding yourself with the right influences. You become like the people you spend time with, the content you consume, the environments you inhabit. If you surround yourself with people who see money as scarce, who view wealthy people with suspicion, who believe success requires luck or connections, their mindset will gradually become yours no matter how much you try to resist it. But if you surround yourself with people who see opportunity, who believe in their capacity to create value, who view wealth as attainable through focused effort, their mindset will lift you. This doesn't mean abandoning friends or family who aren't financially successful. It means being intentional about who influences your thinking. It means seeking out mentors, communities, books, podcasts, courses that reinforce the mindset and strategies you're cultivating. It means protecting your mental space from voices that reinforce limitation and filling it with voices that reinforce possibility. You must also develop awareness of opportunity. Opportunities for wealth creation exist everywhere constantly. But most people don't see them because they're not looking or because they're looking with the wrong lens. When you train yourself to see opportunity, when you develop the habit of asking what value could I create here, or what problem could I solve, or what need exists that I could meet, you begin noticing possibilities others miss. This isn't about exploitation. It's about service. Every act of wealth creation, at its core, is an exchange of value. Someone has a need or desire. You fulfill it in a way they find valuable. They compensate you financially. The more valuable your contribution, the greater your compensation. When you orient yourself toward serving others, toward creating genuine value, opportunities for wealth creation become obvious. The question stops being how can I make money and becomes who can I serve and how can I serve them in ways they'll value deeply. There's a turning point that occurs in every wealth creation journey. It's the moment when you realize that attracting wealth isn't about wishing or hoping or even just believing. It's about becoming. You must become the kind of person who naturally attracts wealth. Someone who thinks clearly, acts consistently, serves generously, learns continuously, persists through difficulty, and maintains unshakable faith in their capacity to create value. Wealth doesn't come to you despite who you are. It comes to you because of who you are. And who you are isn't fixed. It's constantly being shaped by your thoughts, your beliefs, your habits, your choices. Every day you're becoming someone. The question is whether you're becoming someone who attracts wealth or someone who repels it. This awareness transforms everything. It shifts responsibility fully into your hands, not in a way that's burdensome, but in a way that's empowering. You're not waiting for external circumstances to change. You're changing yourself, and as you change, circumstances shift to match. This principle of becoming rather than acquiring changes how you approach each day. Instead of asking, what can I get today? You ask, who am I becoming today? Instead of obsessing over results, you focus on identity. Are you becoming someone who keeps commitments to themselves? Someone who follows through? Someone who learns from setbacks? Someone who sees opportunity? Someone who creates value? Someone who persists? These questions matter more than any specific tactic or strategy because identity drives behavior, and behavior creates results. When you've truly become someone who embodies the principles of wealth attraction, the specific strategies and opportunities will present themselves. Your transformed identity will naturally guide you toward actions that create financial success. Let me offer you a framework for daily practice. Habits you can implement immediately to strengthen your alignment with wealth. Each morning, before the demands of the day begin, spend time clarifying your financial vision. Not just thinking about it vaguely, but seeing it specifically. See the bank balance. See the lifestyle it affords. See yourself making financial decisions from abundance rather than scarcity. Feel what it feels like to have achieved your goal. This morning visualization isn't fantasy. It's programming. You're impressing a clear image onto your subconscious mind, giving it direction, teaching it what to move toward. 5 minutes of focused visualization each morning will influence your entire day, shaping what you notice, what you pursue, what decisions you make. Throughout the day, practice opportunity awareness. Train yourself to look at situations and ask, where is the value here? Where is the need? Where is the possibility? This doesn't mean evaluating every interaction through a purely transactional lens. It means developing the habit of seeing potential where others see nothing. A conversation reveals someone struggling with a problem you could solve. An article mentions an emerging trend you could position yourself within. An experience gives you insight that could benefit others if packaged properly. Wealth creation opportunities aren't rare and exotic. They're constant and ordinary, but they're only visible to those who've trained themselves to see them. Each day, take at least one concrete action aligned with your financial goal. Not someday action, not planning to act. Actual action: contact someone, learn something, create something, apply for something, launch something. One action every day without exception. This daily action serves two purposes. First, it creates tangible forward movement. Small actions compound into significant progress over time. Second, it reinforces your identity as someone who acts rather than just thinks or hopes. Each action proves to yourself that you're serious, that you're committed, that you're becoming someone who makes things happen. This builds momentum and confidence that carry you through challenges. In the evening, practice reflection and gratitude. Review your day not through the lens of judgment, but through the lens of awareness. What did you notice? What did you learn? What action did you take? What evidence of progress can you acknowledge, however small? Then express genuine gratitude for what's already present in your life. Gratitude isn't just feel-good sentiment. It's a powerful practice that shifts your nervous system from scarcity to abundance. When you regularly acknowledge what you have, you train your mind to see abundance rather than lack, and this shift in perception opens you to receiving more. You can't attract wealth from a place of resentful scarcity. You attract it from a place of grateful expectation that more good is always flowing toward you. Before sleep, revisit your financial vision one final time. See it clearly. Feel it deeply. Then release it with trust, knowing that your subconscious mind will work throughout the night to align you more fully with this vision. You'll wake slightly different, slightly more aligned, slightly more the person who naturally attracts what you've envisioned. This might sound subtle, even trivial, but these daily practices, maintained with consistency, create profound transformation over weeks and months. They keep your mind focused on your goal, rather than scattered across 1,000 distractions. They build faith through repeated exposure to your vision. They program your subconscious to recognize and pursue opportunities aligned with your intention. And they create the unshakable sense that wealth isn't something distant and unlikely, but something you're moving towards steadily, deliberately, inevitably. Remember that setbacks will occur. Opportunities will fall through. Efforts will sometimes fail. This is normal. This is part of the process. The person who attracts wealth isn't someone who never encounters obstacles. They're someone who encounters obstacles and persists anyway, who learns from failure rather than being defeated by it, who maintains their vision even when circumstances seem to contradict it. Your faith will be tested. There will be moments when you question whether this approach works, whether you're capable, whether you should just accept limitation and stop reaching for more. These moments are crucial. How you respond to them determines whether you break through or remain stuck. You respond by returning to your practices, by reconnecting with your vision, by remembering why you started, by choosing to believe one more day, take one more action, persist one more step. Breakthrough often comes just beyond the point where most people quit. Understand also that attracting wealth doesn't mean you'll never work hard. It doesn't mean effort becomes effortless. It means your effort becomes aligned, focused, purposeful. You work hard, but you work smart. You exert effort, but it's effort directed by clarity rather than scattered by confusion. The work feels different when it's aligned with genuine belief and clear vision. It's still work, but it's work you choose, work you believe in, work you know is building towards something meaningful. This is why people who've successfully attracted wealth often say they don't feel like they work hard even though objectively they do. Their work flows from alignment rather than obligation, from faith rather than fear, from clarity rather than desperation. As you implement these principles, as you align your mind and actions with wealth attraction, be patient with yourself. You're reprogramming patterns that have been in place for years, possibly decades. You're developing new mental habits, new ways of seeing, new ways of being. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen consistently and inevitably when you commit to the process. You might not see dramatic changes in the first week or month, but if you look back after 6 months of consistent practice, you'll notice you think differently. You notice different things. You take different actions. You carry yourself differently. And these internal shifts will be creating external results, opportunities appearing, income increasing, financial stability strengthening. Trust the process even when you can't yet see the fruit. The roots are growing beneath the surface, and growth is happening even when it's not yet visible. There's something profound about truly understanding that wealth can be attracted rather than chased. It removes the frantic energy that repels opportunity. It replaces desperation with confidence, scattered effort with focused action, hope with certainty. You stop looking outside yourself for someone to save you or some stroke of luck to change your circumstances. You recognize that you are the source of your financial transformation, not through superhuman effort or special advantages, but through alignment, through clarity of vision, strength of belief, consistency of action, and patience to persist until internal alignment manifests as external reality. This recognition is empowering beyond measure. It means your financial future is genuinely in your hands. It means every day offers a fresh opportunity to strengthen alignment. It means setbacks are temporary and success is inevitable if you simply refuse to quit. You have within you right now everything required to attract the wealth you desire. You have the capacity to clarify your vision, to cultivate belief, to direct your attention, to take consistent action, to persist through difficulty, to become someone who naturally draws financial opportunity. These capacities aren't special gifts distributed randomly. They're human capacities available to anyone willing to develop them. The only question is whether you'll choose to develop them, whether you'll commit to the daily practices that build them, whether you'll trust the process even when external evidence hasn't yet caught up with internal alignment. The answer to these questions determines your financial future more than your current circumstances, your education, your connections, or any other external factor. Wealth is waiting to flow toward you, not because you deserve it more than anyone else, not because you're special or chosen, but because you've aligned yourself with the principles that govern its movement. You've become someone who thinks like wealthy people think, who sees what wealthy people see, who acts how wealthy people act, who persists how wealthy people persist. And wealth, responsive to these patterns, finds its way to you through channels that surprise and delight you. Opportunities appear that seem like luck, but are actually the natural result of your aligned state. Connections form that seem like coincidence, but are actually magnetism drawing like to like. Progress happens that seems sudden, but is actually the culmination of patient, consistent alignment finally reaching critical mass. This is available to you, starting today, starting with the decision to think differently about wealth, to believe differently about your capacity, to act differently in your daily life. You don't need permission from anyone. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need more time or information. You simply need to begin, to clarify what you want, to cultivate faith that you can achieve it, to direct your attention toward opportunity, to take daily action aligned with your vision, to persist through the inevitable challenges, and to trust that as you become someone who naturally attracts wealth, wealth will naturally come. Your financial transformation begins in your mind, in the thoughts you choose to think repeatedly, in the beliefs you choose to cultivate, in the vision you choose to hold. From these internal shifts, everything else flows. The opportunities you notice, the actions you take, the persistence you maintain, the results you create. You're not changing your circumstances first and hoping your mind will catch up. You're changing your mind first and watching your circumstances transform to match. This is the secret of wealth attraction. This is the principle that's worked for countless people and will work for you if you apply it with patience and faith. Go forward with confidence, with clarity, with the quiet certainty of someone who knows they're aligned with principles that cannot fail when properly applied. Wealth isn't far from you. It's not reserved for others. It's waiting, ready to flow in your direction the moment you become ready to receive it. And you become ready not through wishing, but through becoming. Become someone who thinks abundantly, who acts decisively, who persists relentlessly, who serves generously, who believes unshakably. Become this person through daily practice, through patient consistency, through refusal to quit. And watch as the wealth you've been attracting through your alignment begins to manifest in ways that confirm what you've known all along. You were always capable. You always had what it took. You simply needed to align every part of yourself with the financial future you were born to create. That alignment begins now. That future starts today. Build it. Become it.